The best restaurant deals are not just financial events. They are turning points. A seller closing one chapter and trusting that what they built will be taken care of. A buyer stepping into something they have been working toward, sometimes for years. When those two things align at the right moment, with the right broker in the middle, the result is more than a closed deal. It is a story worth telling. Two recently closed deals from We Sell Restaurants brokers capture that truth from very different angles. One closed in less than 25 days, driven by a veteran's honest reckoning with his own health and a couple whose dream of owning an authentic Mexican restaurant finally had a home. The other brought together a 30-year industry veteran, ready to simplify his life, and a first-time buyer who was smart enough to know exactly what kind of knowledge he was acquiring alongside the business. Different markets, different sellers, different buyers. But both deals closed the right way. Deal 1. A veteran builds something award-winning. A family finally finds their restaurant. By Sam Hopkins, We Sell Restaurants, Florida, Daytona. Some deals move fast because everything is lined up perfectly from the start. Listing number 28522 in Osage Beach, Missouri, was one of those deals. From contract to close in less than 25 days, the seller. The previous owner was a veteran who came home from military service and built something remarkable. An award-winning restaurant and bar that earned its reputation through hard work, genuine hospitality, and the kind of commitment that only someone who has served their country knows how to sustain. But the years of military service had taken a physical toll he had not fully anticipated. His body simply could not keep up with the demands of running a high-capacity restaurant and bar at the level it needed to stay successful. Making the decision to sell was not giving up. It was being honest with himself about what he needed, and making sure the business he had poured himself into landed in hands that deserved it. That kind of clarity from a seller makes everything that follows easier. The buyers, they had been saving for years, not casually thinking about it, actively working toward a specific dream. Owning their own authentic Mexican restaurant. They knew what they wanted, and they knew what they were willing to do to get there. What they needed was the right opportunity in the right place at a price that reflected years of careful preparation, rather than years of hoping. When this listing came across their radar, it checked every box. A local business, a proven space, a price within reach. They did not hesitate. They moved. The deal. Sam Hopkins managed this transaction from listing to closing, and the speed of it reflects how aligned both sides were from the beginning. A motivated seller with a clear reason for exiting and realistic expectations. Buyers with the financial preparation and the conviction to move decisively. When those two things meet, deals do not drag. This one went from contract to close in less than 25 days. A veteran passed the keys to a couple who spent years earning them. That is a handoff worth celebrating. Deal 2. 30 years of experience, one smart first-time buyer, and a transition built to last, by Michael and Abby Spizzeri. We Sell Restaurants, Florida, Sarasota, Tampa, East, and West. Not every first-time buyer steps into ownership and figures it out alone. The smart ones find a way to bring the previous owner's knowledge with them. The buyer in listing number 12556 in Lakeland, Florida, understood that from day one. The seller. The previous owner brought over 30 years of restaurant industry experience to this transaction. He was not a single location operator wrapping up a career. He still had another location running and was actively involved in the industry. His decision to sell was not about burnout or financial pressure. It was about timing and family. With his kids heading off to college, the priorities shifted. Rather than simply exit, he was willing to stay involved as a consultant for the incoming owner, ensuring that 3 decades of hard-won operational knowledge did not walk out the door with him at closing. The buyer. This was the first restaurant for the new owner. He came in knowing that and leaning into it rather than pretending otherwise. He evaluated the opportunity the right way, looking at the location, the financials, and the people behind the business before making his decision. When everything checked out, he moved forward with a clear plan. Close the deal, keep the seller engaged as a consultant, and learn from one of the most experienced operators he would ever have access to. That is not a passive approach to ownership. That is a buyer who understands that the most valuable thing in a restaurant acquisition is sometimes not the equipment or the lease. It is the knowledge. and he made sure he was acquiring both. The deal. Michael and Abby Spizziri brought both parties to the table and managed a transaction built for long-term success from the start. The location worked. The financials supported the decision. And the relationship between buyer and seller did not end at closing. It continued into a consulting arrangement that gives the new owner a resource most first-time buyers never have access to. A 30-year veteran genuinely invested in seeing the business continue to succeed. For a first-time restaurant owner, that is not just a good deal. That is the right deal, what both of these transactions tell us sellers, who are honest about their reasons, close better deals. The Missouri veteran did not try to mask his health situation or oversell what the business needed. The Florida seller did not pretend he was ready to fully exit when staying on as a consultant made the transition stronger. In both cases, honesty from the seller created the conditions for a transaction that worked for everyone. Buyers who know what they are really acquiring move with confidence. The Missouri buyers were not buying a building and some equipment. They were buying the foundation for a dream they had been building toward for years. The Lakeland buyer was not just buying a restaurant. He was buying access to 30 years of experience. When buyers see the full picture of what they are acquiring, decisions come faster and conviction runs deeper. Listing number 26522 was represented by Sam Hopkins, We Sell Restaurants, Florida Daytona Territory. Listing 12556 was represented by Michael and Abby Spizziri, We Sell Restaurants, Florida, Sarasota, Tampa East, and West Territory. Every week, transactions like these close across the country. If you are thinking about selling your restaurant or ready to take the first step toward ownership, the conversation starts at wesselrestaurants.com.